What's going on, guys? Dan here. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to set up Gemma 4, an open source model released by Google, on your local machine. So the reason that you would want to do something like this is if you have a lot of sensitive customer information that you can't send to OpenAI or to Google or to Claude, and you need to keep that secure. Or in general, if you don't want your data being sent to the big providers and you want to keep everything locally because you're working on something sensitive, then this video is going to teach you how to do it. So what is Gemma 4? Gemma 4 is a series of models that have been released by Google. The smallest one can be run on a mobile phone, and the largest one is relatively small for the amount of power it has. And that's why people are getting really excited about it. So if we look down at the performance chart over here, this is what has been released by Google, and on the Y scale we've got the intelligence, and on the X scale and the X axis we've got the size of the model. So I've used Kimi K2.5 a lot, and it is a very good model, but as you can see, it's got over a trillion parameters, which is absolutely massive. Like if you wanted to run Kimi K2.5 locally on your own private system, you're going to need a ton of GPUs and it's going to cost you thousands of dollars. Whereas the Gemma 4 model, the 31B, which is the largest model in the suite of Gemma 4 models, it's only got 31 billion parameters, which means that if you had a powerful GPU, you could run it locally. And if you want to host it on the cloud, it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. So before we get Gemma 4 set up, I want to explain a little bit about what an open model is and how we get it set up. So an open model is just a bunch of weights or parameters that the company that trained it released to us. So to get the weights or parameters, I'm going to show you a very 10,000 foot view of how these models are trained. But at the start, we have a model that pretty much doesn't know anything. It's just got random weights or parameters. And what we do is we feed in a data set with a bunch of queries that we know the answer to. We feed that into the model and then it makes a prediction. But because we know the answer, we know exactly how wrong the model was. And when we know how wrong the model was, we're able to use very clever algorithms to be able to tune the dials in the model to make them a little bit more accurate than they were previously. And this process takes a very long time, often many months. And after this training process, then we get a bunch of weights in the model that are very tuned so that the model can actually show some intelligence and it can make good predictions and it can answer sentences and do math and coding and all the amazing things that LLMs can do these days. After training, there's another process where we have inference, and this is what we're going to be setting up today. So inference is just the process of when we fix the weights of the model so they don't change, and we put in a new query, which is whatever prompt that you want, and the model is able to predict very well. And all that means is it's able to answer the question well. So whatever your query is that you want solved, it's going to give you a relatively good answer. So for training and inference, there's typically different softwares that are used. For training, a very popular one is PyTorch or TensorFlow, and they're specifically optimized for training, but they're not very good for the inference stage if you want things to run really efficiently. So for inference, we have these inference engines over here, and the one that we're going to be using today is called llama.cpp. So the things that we need to do today are, first we're going to download and install llama.cpp, and then after that we're going to get and download the Gemma 4 model and set it up on our computer and let it rip. So to download llama.cpp, we just want to go to the GitHub llama.cpp. There's a few different ways to install it. If you have Brew installed, that's probably the best way if you're on Mac. You can also run it with Docker. What we're going to do is download the pre-built binaries over here. So we're going to go to the release page, and this just depends on what system you're on. So if you're on Mac, depends what processor you have. I'm on Linux, so I'm going to be getting the x64 one over here, but you've also got ones for Windows as well. So just double check what system you have, and then all you need to do is click on the page and you will be able to download the file over here. So now that we've got llama.cpp downloaded, all we got to do is extract it. I'm going to extract it here. And if we double click in here, we've got all the binary files and they're pretty much ready to run. I'll show you how to run them in a moment, but first we need to actually get our Gemma 4 model. So I'm going to do that next. So to get Gemma 4, we need to go to huggingface.co and then click on models. From there, we want to type in Gemma 4. And as you can see, there's 13,000 Gemma 4 models. We have the ones from Google over here, but that's not the one that we can actually use to run Gemma 4. And the reason is that it's in the format safe tensors. And safe tensors is the format that's given from training. So after Google has trained this model in PyTorch or TensorFlow, whatever they use, it's going to output this format. And the one that we actually need is GGUF. So what we want to do is download a GGUF formatted model. Because my computer really sucks and I won't be able to run a very powerful one, I'm going to run the 2 billion parameter model. So I'm going to take this one over here, unsloth/Gemma 4, the 2 billion parameter one, E2B. And now we need to find a specific model type to download. There's a lot of different Gemma 4 2 billion parameter models that we can download. And the difference between all of these is how precise the weights are inside the model. So basically every single parameter can be very, very precise in terms of the decimal points that it is. And there are a lot of variants of it because sometimes having a 9.31 gigabyte model is while it is precise, it's not ideal. It's going to run slower. It takes up a lot more memory. So the process that people run through is something called quantization, which means that they reduce the precision of the weights in clever ways, which is why there's a lot of different versions of this. And what it does is it allows the model to be a lot smaller, run faster, and it won't be as intelligent, but the trade-off is worth it to make it run faster, not take up as much memory. You can kind of think of it similar to WAV files in audio versus having an MP3. So the MP3 will still sound good, but it's not going to be as good as a WAV file. So I'm going to be downloading this one over here, which is the Q4KM, and going to let that download, and afterwards I'm going to show you how to run it. So now we've got our inference engine and we've got the model, and the only thing we need to do is call the inference engine and point it to our model, and it's going to run. So right now I'm in the directory. As you can see here, I've got Gemma 4 and then I've got the binaries that I downloaded before. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the folder and we're going to look for a file called llama server. And to point it to Gemma 4, I just write -m, and afterwards I just point it to the model. And if I hit enter, it's going to spin up, and once it has spun up and ready, then we'll be able to interact with our model. So the last thing we need to do once our system is running is we just got to go to localhost 8080, which I have over here, and now we can talk to our Gemma 4 model. So I'm just going to tell him hi, and he's probably going to take a little while to respond because my computer is very slow. But if you have a GPU or you rent a GPU server in the cloud, you can run a much more powerful model that can do a lot of different tasks for you. And the data is yours. It doesn't go to OpenAI or Anthropic or Google servers at all, which is very good if you have a lot of privacy concerns. So that's it for this video. Give it a go, set it up yourself. If you have any questions or concerns and you need some help, then there's going to be a link in the description where you can book a call with me and we can have a chat. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.